Welcome to Pod and Long. I'm your host, Ryan. It's great to have you with us. We're back again for another preview show, and I'm here with the Word of Drew.
I can't go 30 seconds without talking about the NBA. Next month, NBA summer camp starts, which makes me think NBA media days are coming, which automatically makes me wonder, what will Jimmy Butler look like in his official headshot this year? He's already gone through member of My Chemical Romance and Swamp Witch. What's he's got in store for us now?
I have to say, every single game that photo came up, like anytime
Amazing.
he took a free throw, they showed a stat, it was his emo photo.
Best gimmick by him ever.
So good. I'm also here with Mr. Mike.
I don't have a witty anecdote to start.
You have a witty thing under your name now. Why don't you say that?
That's right. Brack Tula. Gotta spiral that thing.
Spiral that thing. And I'm also here with Mr. Megastar Mark.
That's right. And you know what? Today is cut down day. I'm just happy I'm still here. The last time we did this, we lost somebody. So yeah. I'm glad. Thank you. I made the team. One more season to feed the kids. All right. That's great.
You're back in.
I did a risky free agent acquisition. I'm not really sure how it's going. Yeah. Next year might be a contract year. So
yeah. Are you asking for a new contract already, Mike? What the hell?
Give the people what they want.
On this show, we're like the Cowboys. We go all in. So expect that contract.
We will come back to that later.
Several months from now.
I have words.
It is cut down day. We got some news. We're going to do some fantasy stuff. Most people have probably already picked fantasy drafts, I would assume. But we'll talk individuals.
We'll tell them how stupid they were, okay?
Because
they didn't listen to us in the future.
Exactly. So we're not going to do any you should pick this guy in the whatever round because that doesn't make sense. But I think top passer, rookie of the year, who you picked up in your draft that you're excited about, that kind of stuff. Then we're gonna have a
Bucks D.
Bucks D.
Rob Conrad.
First round.
Fantasy draft ever.
We will also have a Stripe Spiral, which is going to be a good one. Because
there's much to cover.
There's a lot on that list. There's at least 2 stories I want to hear. And who knows what else? We might have. Do we have a FUBAR on the list?
We got a FUBAR.
All right, we got
all right.
First FUBAR of the season.
We'll show tonight.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be a fun one. Let's start with the CeeDee Lamb. Let's start with those Cowboys. CeeDee Lamb finally got a contract. $136 million.
Whew.
100 guaranteed. Not as high as Justin Jefferson.
Nor should it have been.
Yeah,
which makes sense.
Yep.
So I think they should have paid him. I don't know. I don't think the contract's that bad, but what do you think?
Well, this is a good segue for me for my segment, which is the Cedars Brand Tzatziki dip of the week. And that tip is Jerry Jones for signing CeeDee Lamb to a 4-year, $136 million contract. Because I think this is the beginning of the end of the current incarnation of the Cowboys. Signing CeeDee Lamb for this kind of money means there's little to no chance, short of winning a Super Bowl, that Dak Prescott is playing in Dallas next year. I think this is the beginning of the end of the Prescott and Mike McCarthy era. Who knows what comes next? Bill Belichick, Archie Manning. I don't want to will the end of the universe, but
Archie Manning's coming back.
I was going to say, I really hope it's Archie. I would love that.
Or whatever the kid's name. What's his name?
Arch.
Cooper Jr.
Arch. Whatever. Same thing. Either way. Look, CeeDee Lamb's a great wide receiver. That is not the issue. And he's healthy. He plays pretty much everything. I think he's missed maybe a game here and there, but very little.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. Dallas is not, a one wide receiver away from winning the whole thing. They're on the verge of a complete rebuild, and tying up that kind of money. When look, the draft and everything else has shown you're able to find wide receivers who can produce 80 to 90% of that level for pennies on the dollar. I don't know if there's value anymore in throwing a bunch of money at a wideout, especially when you don't know who's going to be throwing him the ball.
That's true. If you're not keeping Dak, it's weird.
Yeah.
Like if you got a stud like rookie on a long contract at quarterback, great. You got that 4-year window. You're there. You're fine. Dallas is not in that position.
I think this is Dak's last year. I think they know that. I think he knows that. I think, and Mike, you mentioned this before we went on the air. Barring the Cowboys winning the Super Bowl, I think Dak is done. I think both sides are ready to move on. And I think, I honestly, Dak is entering his 31st year. There you go. Mike's got his animation going. This is his 31st year. Statistically, this is, if you're a quarterback of a certain age, this is your best year. Manning, Brady, if you average them all out, 31 is where your body's still good enough and your mind is caught up with, and you've basically seen everything. So if he does explode this year, but the Cowboys still don't make they're one and done again, he's definitely gone. And he's going to get a lucrative contract somewhere. You're telling me like Pittsburgh wouldn't sign him if both of these guys flame out, if both Russell and Fields flame out?
Right.
If
Vegas already has the checkbook out.
Yeah, they're Raider. Yeah,
automatic.
There you go. There's a team that needs a quarterback.
We still don't know too. Some teams may pop up out of nowhere. Like,
of course,
the Giants might be looking for a quarterback. Probably. Seattle might.
Don't be shocked if Seattle knocks on that door.
Yeah.
No, of
Seattle.
course, absolutely.
Seattle might be in there.
Or inevitably, one of these rookies completely flames out and somebody's back to square one and has cap space.
Yeah, right, of course. Or somebody goes down. I hate to say that, but in case somebody gets hurt, like Kyler Murray hurts himself again, at that point, the Cardinals need to address it. So,
Okay.
Is Kyle Murray on thin?
What's that?
Is Kyle Murray on thin ice? Or Kyler, rather.
We thought he was last year, but it seems like not.
I think he's perpetually on thin ice.
Yeah. He's got. Well, to Mike's question, he has a lot more weapons now. So if he doesn't succeed now, I think it's a good question of whether he's going to be a long-term starter. I think he will. I actually like the Cardinals, but
so you're saying he's on a short leash.
He bought the expansion pack from the digital store. Got the download.
He got the Nintendo Power.
Yeah,
got the Power Glove.
And the Power
so
Glove.
Bad.
So useless.
At first I was in the Mike boat. Like, why on earth are people paying this much money to wide receivers? And then I realized we've hit an era where people pay their wide receivers instead of their running backs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like, that's just where we are. This used to be money that would go to Barry Sanders or Thurman Thomas or whomever, right? And that money's been reallocated to a different position. But to me, the larger story here is that not only is Dak at the end of his deal, and he may or may not go, but CeeDee Lamb's deal is done, which means they still haven't re-signed Micah Parsons yet.
Yeah.
Right? And he's going to command either the same or possibly more money than CeeDee Lamb, depending on how this plays out. So you've already locked yourself into essentially two max level players, and you're not going to have room for a third, And I don't think Dak would take a pay cut to stay there. And frankly, if I were Dak, I'm sick of being talked about every 10 minutes.
Right.
Just go find some place where the scrutiny won't be as great.
Mm-hmm.
And you can make the same money and play for a team that has a real general manager, despite what Jerry Jones' expletive-laden rant says about him being the best general manager.
Weird.
Wow.
I think the happiest person in the NFL is Jamar Chase, who now knows exactly what he needs to get paid. So,
and the least happy person is the Bengals ownership, who now realizes what he has to get paid.
Yeah.
Well, I'm looking at the Cowboys salary structure this year. Dak Prescott has a $55 million cap number.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh my God! The next guy in the team is DeMarcus Lawrence at 20.
Well, and then when I feel like it was somewhere over COVID. When did we hit the point where all of a sudden wide receiver contracts just exploded? There have always been some highly paid wide receivers, right? Like Randy Moss got some nice deals in his year, and Calvin Johnson got some nice deals with the Lions. But like, all of a sudden, wide receivers broke the $30 million threshold. And again, I don't understand all the economics of the NFL salary cap. I don't pretend to. But like, when did that suddenly become the going rate for a top wide receiver?
Was it AJ Brown was one of the first ones that got a big deal, or am I missing somebody?
AJ Brown. Wow. Yeah.
AJ Brown got a big deal when he left Tennessee, right?
Yeah.
I hate to.
Yeah, he's making $32 million.
Well, they just reworked his deal, so he's getting more now.
CeeDee Lamb is making 34. Tyreek Hill's making 30.
Well, remember the Chiefs didn't want to pay Tyreek Hill. They were like, "We're not paying the $30 million price." That's why he was traded to the Dolphins.
I mean, DJ Moore on the Bears is making 27.5. That's insane.
And
that's
it
a new deal, yeah.
And it happens in all sports, right? You go through these seismic shifts where somebody breaks the ceiling and then suddenly everybody runs after him. Remember when A-Rod signed that 10-year $252?
Yeah.
And that was the floodgates for baseball.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden dudes started making 26, 28, 30, 32 and now Ohtani makes $70 million a year.
No, he only makes $2 million.
He makes $2 million a year, and then he gets Bobby Bonilla for the rest of his natural life. But even so, like in raw numbers, he makes $70 million a year.
He's an owner of the Dodgers now.
It's a great deal for Ohtani. Shit.
Why not? All right. Well, CeeDee Lamb is in, but Brandon Ayuk is still fucking here. I'm so shocked that we're still here.
He's not going anywhere now. I mean,
No.
Yeah, I think he wants to play there. I think he wants to play.
Yeah,
is he going to play in week 1 though? Is he playing in week 1?
I could see
Trent Williams isn't playing either, right?
Trent Williams is going to play.
Okay.
He has to. I don't think he's going to sit out.
So Trent will be back, but you don't think Ayuk will play week 1?
I could see him sitting out.
I think they'll get it figured out. I think they were close, honestly. When there was that moment where they're talking about him being close to the Steelers, and then it didn't happen for like 48 hours. And once it didn't happen, I'm like, he's negotiating with the Niners. He didn't want to leave. I think he wants to just get the best possible deal for himself. He's a 26-year-old. So I think they got 2 weeks. I think they'll figure it out. I think they'll figure it out on both of them, actually.
So you think this is the Dan Hurley thing? He's using the Lakers to leverage the University of Connecticut to give him more money. He never intended to go to the Lakers. This is the same thing.
I think Trent Williams is a little bit more he's digging in more because I don't know. I feel like he's been at this longer, so he just knows how to play.
Trent's got to know this is his last contract.
Yeah, right.
Or at the very least, his last big one.
But the Niners have all this money. They have so much money in cap space. Just this year alone, they can figure it out, and I think they will figure it out. And
it'll be something where they'll sign him to a long contract and give him an enormous amount of money up front.
Yeah, give him an upfront signing bonus and then move on. I think they will figure it out. It's still, like I said, 2 weeks.
Exactly. This will get signed and done in time for him to play week 1.
Yep.
So everyone.
Ayuk may sit.
All right.
I can see Ayuk sitting a week.
Okay.
Of course, they're playing Poochie.
I was like, your Niners got to be ready. Poochie's coming, baby.
Ready. Here comes Poochie.
Yeah.
What if he lasts only 3 plays this year?
Or 5.
How many? We're gonna do the individuals, but I'll do it now since we brought up Poochie. I'll bring up Poochie now. What is this Poochie season like? What do you think? What do you think we're getting out of a 41-year-old Poochie? Aaron Rodgers, if you don't know.
He's tan, rested, drugged up, and ready.
Yeah,
I agree.
Is he going to be good?
I think he just has to be a caretaker. I don't even think he has to be.
So.
I think he just has to make like above average throws, which he's more than capable of. Even
so he throws for like 240 a game, and
they have a ton of weapons. They have a retooled offensive line. The only thing he has to remember is the ball's got to be out in 2.5 seconds, and he can do that. Because if it's longer than that, he can't go anywhere.
Yeah,
he ain't moving.
No,
right.
He's going to make Harry Collins look like a track star.
They got to be smart, and I think they will be smart and just give it to Breece Hall a lot.
Oh, I know.
So
yeah, exactly. Like the ball's
it's
got to be out. That's the key.
I can legit see them running the ball a lot.
Yeah,
and to really like pound the ball, and then they're going to sucker you in. And Rodgers can put those throws in tight windows. Like his arm is perfectly fine. He steps back to pass, like Drew said. 1-2, boom. He'll hit that window.
All of Poochie's health problems are below the waist and above the neck. in that middle section, he's perfectly fine.
Yes, that's right.
All right, so he'll be serviceable.
A lot of good core work.
Yeah.
I think he'll be more than serviceable.
Okay. All right. Patriots don't seem to know who they want to be their number one quarterback. This was funny.
Not Bailey Zapp.
Bailey Zappi's gone again, but he'll be back. You know they'll bring him back.
Matter. Come on, this team.
You know they'll bring him back.
Didn't matter. He's going to be behind quarterback.
Jared Mayo's just like, whatever.
Yeah.
Who left the quarterback this week?
Yeah.
It's
One
the first
inter-
coach taking a red shirt year for the team. He's
One
just like,
interview,
Yes.
he's saying Brissett is the number one quarterback no matter what. Next interview he does, he's saying Drake May's looking great and he's gonna be the starter. They don't even know. I mean, they know they don't want Drake May to be killed, right? Is that really what's happening here?
If they have any brain at all, it should be Brissett.
Yeah, absolutely should be.
He's a professional. He will not embarrass your franchise on or off the field. And if he gets the crap kicked out of him, you don't really care that much.
Mm-hmm.
He's gonna get.
I can see him squeaking by, like, this is low praise, but like a 3 to 4 win season. I can see that.
Yes, absolutely.
Which Drake would be. He wouldn't even finish. He would go about 4 games and then get fucking mauled, and that would be in the end of that.
This offensive line may be the worst in the NFL. It's pretty bad.
But they got a lot of cap space next year. They got a lot of picks next year. They will be high picks next year, so you can turn this around.
Mm-hmm.
Not that I want that to happen, because fuck those guys, but
right. Well, we shall see.
Well,
Speaking of,
we're going to go back into the era of like Steve Grogan darkness,
yeah,
and it's going to get great.
That's true.
Yeah,
We're going to suck for another 20 years. It's over.
the party's
They're
over.
not coming back.
Yub Nub song. Play it. Speaking of Brissett, his old team is doing weird stuff. The Browns are keeping 4 quarterbacks, not 3, 4 quarterbacks. One of them being Jameis Winston. They're keeping that for
the rich man, Spencer Rattler.
the rich man, Spencer Rattler. You know how many Spencer Rattler highlight reel preseason clips are floating around there right now?
all he can do.
I've read a ton about how the Saints are confident he will be their backup quarterback, which is damning with faint praise. But
he's going to start.
That man's
He's going
to
to
land on a roster.
Yeah.
He's gonna
easy
start.
when you're playing against guys who played for Delaware last year when you can light them up. But
and listen, if the Saints get in trouble, Mike White is available.
No, he's coming to Buffalo, baby.
Oh,
he's coming to Buffalo.
White.
He's in Buffalo right now. Mike fucking White. What do you think?
He's going to be on every single AFC East team before his career's over.
Right.
But anyway, listen, if you're the Browns, of course you carry 4 quarterbacks because your star that you're paying all your money to hasn't played in over a year, and you decided not to play him in the preseason.
Mm-hmm.
You have no idea what he can do at this point.
Yeah.
No clue what his capabilities are.
Sucked when we last saw him. Like, what's
he wasn't good with the Browns.
Right.
He was never good with the Browns in any modicum of time.
He had one game last year where I was like, okay.
Yeah, Kelly Holcomb had one game for the Browns. It happens sometimes.
It can happen. He had one game where I was like, okay, Deshaun actually looks pretty good, but I think he injured that's when he got really injured there at the end, and then he was gone.
The greatest game he ever played was that game against Louisville when it was him and Lamar Jackson, and they went back and forth to overtime, and it was the best game of the year. That was the last Deshaun Watson highlight.
Yeah, that was a good one. Well, they have 4 quarterbacks. Let's talk about your guy, Drew. Anthony Richardson. He's having an interesting offseason where he's being drafted as, speaking of fantasy, as the number 6 quarterback in some leagues, which seems incredibly high. He looks good sometimes. He looks awful sometimes. Well, there was a report that came out. Did you see this? The Colts did a joint practice with the Bengals. I don't know, last couple weeks ago or whatever. And
sorry.
Richardson and the Colts offense were so bad. The Bengals were pissed off because they couldn't get a real practice in with a real offense because that's how bad it was.
The Colts are terrible.
Yeah.
They're so bad.
Richardson is going so high in all these fantasy drafts because last year Justin Fields turned out to be like the 6th most valuable fantasy quarterback or whatever. And people anticipate that from Anthony Richardson, that he's going to run for 700 yards and 4 or 5 touchdowns because he's the size of a small bulldozer. And if he happens to throw the ball, then great. But that's why he's going so high, is because of his value with his legs, not because he can actually throw.
Well, that's a number 1 quarterback for most people. So That's
Better
going
than-
to be
That's
that's gonna
higher
be
than Sam Howell.
play. I mean, come on! Don't get me started on my guy Sam Howell. He's going to be He's going to be leading the Seahawks to the playoffs.
Did you guys
And these
notice
guys-
that there's like a generation of quarterbacks from like a 3-year gap that have now like changed teams, like first and
Yes.
second rounders who
Yes.
have all like switched around. Like Desmond Ritter got released today. And I was like,
Yes.
oh shit, remember him?
Listen, Zach Wilson, Trey
Matt
Lance,
Corral, yeah.
Matt Corral. Yeah,
Yeah.
they're all
Look,
shit. Matt Corral
Ryan
went to go play in the
Fitzpatrick
UFL.
blazed that trail.
Was
That's
it,
true.
It's magic.
Is it Mike Lombardi who said like he's not always the best, but he said like scouting is totally screwed up in 2020. I remember him saying this. Like scouting is so messed up from COVID. It's going to take 3 to 4 years for you to actually see like scouting to get
Yeah.
back on track.
Yeah.
And people are just shooting in the dark on some of these picks because
That's
of
why-
COVID and all this stuff, and it's
Listen,
going to
they
mess up
say-
3 years.
You've seen that already in the Major League Baseball draft, where all of a sudden
Mhm.
the percentage of college players that are getting picked is skyrocketed because there was like a year and a half of COVID where nobody saw any high school games.
Right.
Nobody knows how good these guys are or aren't, so everybody's going to go play college ball. It's the same. It's the same thing here. There's a kind of blacked out window there where nobody knows what happened.
Right.
You're not really sure if these guys are any good or not. So yeah, like the entire Commanders 2022 draft or 2023
Yeah,
draft
I saw that.
have been traded away or cut at this point.
Yeah. And like
That's
the 2023 draft, 5 out of the 7 are gone. 2023.
Yeah,
That wasn't that long ago.
Oh my
I
god.
mean, not for nothing, but that has been like Washington's history for like the last 25 years.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're definitely getting rid of the stank.
Adam
They're airing out
Carricker-
the rug right now.
Adam Carricker was going to anchor their defensive line for decades to come.
No, he looked good in a uniform though. Let's talk about an exciting cut. The terrorist,
Yes.
Kadarius Toney. He's cut
Mike
by the Chiefs.
earlier today trying to give me a heart attack and make me think my Bills were going to go after him.
Yeah, come on, just come to Cacaw Nation.
Yeah,
They can use him.
Yeah, let's get him into Cacaw Nation.
Cacaw Nation.
We'll see him in the spring.
Never has a player done so
Oh.
little and thought and have so much confidence in himself. It's Freddie Mitchell.
Freddie Mitchell.
He is the Nick Young of the NFL. Although Nick Young did more,
Yeah.
I'm sure. Freddie
Fred Smoot.
Mitchell.
Yeah, that was
Fred Smoot.
Yeah.
Fred Smoot's on that list too. And
Three quarters of the earth is covered by water. The other quarter is covered by Smoot.
He was a great PR guy for himself. He hyped himself up really well.
soon to be added to that list, Spencer Rattler. But,
Yeah.
but for right now, Freddie Mitchell's at the top of that list with
Yeah.
Kadarius Toney.
Holy
My
shit.
God. Fred Smoot.
Honestly,
Fred.
they got him for. Remember, the Chiefs got him for a 3 and a 5, and if you look back on it, they overpaid.
They
Yeah.
paid.
I mean, he scored in the Super Bowl
Yes, he did.
the previous year, so there was that. Not the 49ers Super Bowl, the previous year.
Yeah. Was it the punt return? Is that what he
Yes,
did?
he scored.
Yeah.
No, he scored on that corn dog play to the right.
Oh,
And
right.
they
right,
did
right.
it again.
Yeah,
They
punt
messed
return,
it up.
That's right.
Yeah,
He had a
that's
long punt return, and then he scored on that corn dog play that nobody
Right.
can cover.
right.
So, yeah, the terrorist. We'll see where he ends up. Hopefully, Cacaw Nation or whatever.
Oh my god,
spring
UFL would
football.
love that. Are you
They
kidding
would
me?
love him.
He would
Holy
actually probably dominate in the UFL. He'd be the best player.
He'll be a DC roughneck before the week is out.
shit.
I love it.
He's got a Gitmo.
Shit, DC Defenders, Houston Roughnecks. He'll be a Houston Roughneck before
Yeah.
the week is out.
Yeah.
Speaking of the last few drafts not working out, Malik Willis, Tennessee
Yeah.
Titan
That's what I'm
quarterback,
saying. That whole
Traded.
era is just gone.
traded to the Packers.
Yep.
He was so bad when he was a Titan. He played in that one game, right? Were we around during that? I forget. He played in one game as a Titan, and they benched him for who was the quarterback? It was insane. Oh, it was Josh Dobbs.
Yeah.
They benched him for Josh Dobbs.
This is, man,
They didn't
I got
even want
nothing
to try.
against- I got nothing against Malik Willis. I liked Malik Willis coming out of college, but this was one of those occasions where we love to sit here and talk about how dumb NFL GMs are, and some of them certainly are. But every pundit was like Malik Willis could sneak into the back end of the first round. The scouts love him. His talent's off the charts. He interviews well. And then all of a sudden he fell to the third.
Right.
And every time something like that happens, it's like all 32 teams know something that we don't.
Yeah.
Or there's something that didn't get out that shows on his tape that they all hate.
Mm-hmm.
And anytime a dude falls more than a round like that, that dude is never heard from again.
Yep.
Well, he's on the Packers, so
he's
he
Liberty
probably won't
shame.
be again. Liberty shame. Tim Patrick was cut by the Denver Broncos, which is kind of a sad story because he was kind of decent and blew out his knee and has never gotten back in the field. But the Lions picked him up, so he's probably better off at this point. And the Lions need a second receiver badly, so maybe he can fill that.
Yeah, because Jameson Williams doesn't seem to be it.
I don't know if Patrick's coming back from this. He did not look like. I heard him. I was reading stuff in training camp. Like he couldn't even put weight down on it a lot of times. It's just
really. It's still that bad. Wow.
It's still bad. So I don't see him coming back from this.
Odell Beckham Jr. mysterious injury. He's now on the PUP list. Still undisclosed. Whatever this injury is.
It took me a while to remember where he was.
He's on the Dolphins.
Yeah.
Finger/buttocks.
Yeah. Right.
Him and I know he's on the Panthers, but him and Jadeveon Clowney are going to have a podcast someday called "Nobody Knows How Good I Was," because that seems to be what they believe.
Yeah.
Hey, I saw that Tommy Colcott survived.
Oh,
he's sticking around.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
I can't wait for him to be back.
So wait, for the Giants, it's Danny Dimes and then
Drew Lock.
Drew Lock, your boy.
And then Tommy D.
But Drew Lock is injured, I think, so that's why Tommy D is still
on the main Tommy roster. D should absolutely be the quarterback of the Houston Roughnecks next year.
I love that.
Put a microphone on that guy. Let's roll.
I didn't download the song because I didn't want to get flagged, but the ride's already over. Martavius Bryant.
Oh, I know.
We hardly knew ye.
Yep.
He's already cut by the Commanders, who traded Jahan Dotson. We didn't talk about that either.
I thought they might be involved in the Ayuk trade, but no. They just got rid of Jahan Dotson.
For nothing.
They got rid of Jahan. Well, listen, they traded their, and I know, Mark, they're your boys, but they traded their entire defensive line at the trade deadline last year. That doesn't strike as a team that's happy with their current roster.
They really wanted to get rid of. I think everything they had to do with this last regime. Mm-hmm. So they are.
You're talking about Ron Rivera.
Yeah, I'm talking about Ron.
I love Ron.
So do I.
Riverboat Ron.
Yeah.
Where is Riverboat? Where is he at?
Ron, he should go to the Houston Roughnecks.
He's still outside of Maryland.
He was supposed to coach Maryland. What happened?
Yes, he was going to go to the University of Maryland.
Mm-hmm. That didn't happen, though.
Nope.
Oh, Martavius Bryant.
I don't know, some guy.
I will remember you. All right, fantasy. Let's go into the fantasy recap, fantasy part of the show. Let's give a quick. I know, Mike, you don't play fantasy, so you don't have to. Maybe you got a past story. Let's give a quick background on where we're at in fantasy, because Drew and Mark, you guys play together in a league.
Yep, in 2 leagues.
Yep. I used to play together in a league with Drew and Mark, and then something happened.
Oh, drama?
No, we all just stopped. It took a year or two.
That league went for 16 years, and at the end of it, 7 of the original 10 guys were still in it, and there was one guy who had played 14 of the 16 years.
Yep.
And I think I hit
and you had played like 13 years.
Oh, yeah, you were in there a long. You were in there a long time, Mike.
So and ultimately it ran its course, and we decided we were done.
Yep.
Wow.
And I see you guys form new leagues without me. It's fine.
It's fine. It's fine. No, Mike, it's fine.
It's fine. It's fine.
We got to get him in a league. Sign Mike
I'm
up.
Considering Mike for next year. I was telling Mark about this. That's outstanding.
Oh, wow.
I'm considering starting a category scoring fantasy football league. I feel like it would take some of the arbitrary luck out of fantasy football.
Wow. Just like fantasy baseball, the category.
Exactly.
You're deep hat botting it.
Yes, essentially trying to.
That's funny.
Uh,
Have you had your draft yet?
Yes.
I've had one of my two. Yep.
Okay. How do you think you came out?
I mean, I
Fine.
think I did great, but
You did do great, Drew. You did really well. Nicole and I were commenting on that while we were drafting, but yeah, mine is fine.
Wow.
I got Christian Watson late, and I actually he's
Yeah,
one of my
you-
sleepers this year. I
you
really like
took
him.
him out
All
from
right.
under me. I had him
Yeah.
highlighted, and then he disappeared.
I think
Wow.
he's going to have a very big year in Green
You
Bay.
think he's the top Green Bay receiver? I guess that's a good
do.
Not
good
to
top
start
pick.
with,
If
but
he
I think he
stays
ends
healthy,
that way.
If
Yeah.
he stays healthy, I think he is.
He is.
There's like 4 guys there. So
They're all
most
and they're all pretty
talented.
good. He's physically the best receiver they got. So I think as long as he, like Drew said, he stays healthy, he's going to be good.
okay.
One of my keepers was Dalton Kincaid.
I
But-
saw
not,
that.
not bad.
I need a
little
tight end.
surprised.
I know. I neglect tight ends all the time in fantasy football. He's going to get me 800 yards and a shit ton of catches. So
The
I'll take that.
my 4 keepers coming into the season were Jamar Chase, Bijan Robinson, Devontae Smith, and Garrett Wilson. So I feel like I'm okay.
Good.
Yeah, very
And,
good.
but the player I snagged that I'm most excited about is a potential future keeper. And yes, I did get Carolina's Jonathan Brooks, who will miss 4 games.
Yes.
But
we knew that. though.
I came away with Xavier Worthy. And I feel like
Ooh.
Kansas City is going to find ways to get him the ball, especially now that they cut the football terrorist.
Yeah,
who
the
essentially
terrorist
does
is
the
gone.
same things, but not as well.
But they got Juju
So-
now. Juju's
Yeah.
back.
back.
Yeah.
Juju
Juju's
is a
back.
professional football player, period.
Yes, he sure is.
Very good at the 8-yard curl route.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Half the time.
hey, you need guys like that.
Yep.
Need some
Absolutely.
curl route guys.
The only part about my team that really makes me nervous is that I waited on quarterback a little too long, and my quarterback is Tua.
Mm.
So we'll see. Like, the 12 games he plays could be great, which is why my backup quarterback is Cole's Cash, and we'll see what happens.
Okay. Safe.
I kind of wanted to take Poochie super late, and then somebody in the round I was going to take him had the same thought as me and snagged him before me.
Poochie.
You took, I can't remember who it was, but you took somebody right before Nicole and she let out an audible scream. It was
Good.
pretty fun.
Oh,
I wish I could
that's
remember who it was, but
That's how fantasy football is.
yeah, right. She had him like highlighted for like 9 picks.
Well,
and then you took-
There was one round we got into. I couldn't, maybe it was, I don't know, round 10 or 11. And I had one dude highlighted for like 17 picks as I waited for it to come back to me. And then it got to my pick, and I was like, holy shit, Jordan Addison's still on the board.
Yeah, there
Quick
you go.
Draft.
Mhm.
Changing it up.
I'm not enthralled. I'm looking at my team. I'm not enthralled. I got Roma Dunzier, who I think will do pretty
he's-
well. But
Yes, I agree.
Mhm.
yeah,
Okay.
I had Joe Burrow, right, as my
Yes.
keeper. And with the hope that obviously he rebounds. But I'm like, oh shit, I am gonna need another, a backup quarterback just in case, he gets hurt again. So I said, who has the most okayest receivers in the league? Trevor Lawrence
Jacksonville
does.
Jaguars.
Yeah, right.
Mm.
So we'll go and Trevor doesn't get hurt, so all right.
Well, he gets hurt a lot, but he doesn't sit out a lot.
Yeah, right.
He had like 9
That's right.
injuries
He
last
plays
year.
through it. Yeah.
Playing through 9 different injuries. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I have a lot riding on Jalen Hurts. I have a lot riding on Jalen Hurts.
Well,
Oh,
you're in a
that.
double quarterback.
I'm
league.
in a 2 quarterback league.
Oh
so
yeah,
my-
you're
Who's your
weirdly
other
yeah.
quarterback.
it's very weird. So I have 4 because that's what you have to do in this league. I have Hurts and Tua as my 2 starters.
Oh,
Okay,
you both
you
could be
do a
rooting
lot
for
worse
Tua.
than that.
I think that's pretty good. And then I have Levis on Greg's
Okay.
Greg's recommendation. He hopefully won't have to play 1 bye week. And then I had to fit in Sam Darnold. I had to get Sam Darnold in for bye week reasons. I'll drop him as soon as I don't need him, but
But that, God, like,
it's bad.
just to
2
get
quarterbacks
a
is-
starter, you had
is
to get
insane.
Sam Darnold.
Right.
I
Well, how many
know.
people are in this league?
10.
Oh,
And
wait.
So
every
that's all
starter's
four?
taken.
Yeah, that's 40 quarterbacks, which is more than there are starting
Yeah.
quarterbacks.
There's quarterbacks that are like
Backups?
Penix didn't get picked, but several backups did.
But I'm
Several
sure,
other-
like Justin Fields did.
Fields got picked
There's
before
high potential
Russell
that he'll see
Wilson.
the field.
Fields got picked
Oh,
before
wow.
Russell Wilson, which is weird.
Well, do you see Russell in the preseason? I know it's
Yeah.
preseason, but goddamn.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. But yeah, Drake May got picked, but Brissett didn't. I think that's funny.
What?
Nobody picked Brissett.
Oh my god.
I
Waiver
think he's-
claim.
Yeah. Gonna have to get him. Okay, so let's go through. I guess from a fantasy lens, who do you think is going to be the top quarterback, or maybe just the top passing yards? I don't know. Whatever you want, whatever direction you want to go in.
To me, the top predictable fantasy value still sits with Josh Allen.
Yeah,
because he will throw for a pile of yards, he will throw for a pile of touchdowns, and he won't run as much as some other guys, but he runs sufficiently, and they frankly use him as their goal line running back.
Yep.
So that to me, he's still the number one fantasy quarterback until proven otherwise.
Yeah.
He was the first pick in the 2 quarterback draft. So, which I think
Mahomes
is
up there too, obviously.
Yeah, Mahomes
I mean,
is always up there.
Throws a shit ton, and I think with Xavier Worthy, he's going to put up. I think Kelsey still. I think he's still got another lease and 1 more year left in him. So I think that offense will be fine. Actually, I don't mind the Juju pick, like coming back. Like
why
not?
not?
They're going to put up a lot, but he's better than Valdez Scantling. So
God, how far down the chart are we?
Valdez is hurt, right? He's gone. Is he not a
playing.
Bill?
He's going to play.
He's going to play.
He made the roster. He's going to play.
Brock Tua.
You'll play, Jackson. You'll play.
If Ayuk comes back, Brock Tua will be the passing leader.
Brock Tua. Look, that Niners offense has just weapons everywhere. Why not?
Brock is so dreadfully efficient that he never hurts you. Like he's never, I remember, however, I'm dating myself. There were a couple of years there consecutively in fantasy football where my fantasy quarterback was Mark Bulger. And like
he was good for a little bit.
All of Mark Bulger's touchdown passes were only worth 3 points because he threw an interception for every touchdown pass. Every game, he'd have 2 touchdowns, 2 picks. And Brock Purdy's not like that.
Yeah. It's weird they mentioned that. In that era, Jake Delhomme was my quarterback for a long, long time.
Oh, dude, I won a fantasy championship with my quarterbacks being an unholy rotating combination of very young Phillip Rivers and very old John Kitna. It happened.
Kitna had that one awesome year where he was on Detroit, right?
Yes.
Out of nowhere, he was good
yards.
again.
Yeah.
I mean, they didn't win like games, but he was awesome for fantasy. All right. What about receiver? Justin Jefferson in my draft, he slipped to the 3rd round.
Yeah, I don't blame him.
Because of the injury to JJ McCarthy, which I don't know if we completely updated from the last time. He's out for the year.
I don't know if
guys, my knee hurts. Guys,
shut up! I'm watching McConkey.
Dad, can you get my knee brace?
Shut up, McConkey turned bad in this episode. No, he's good again.
Can I say something awful?
Sure.
Yes.
I don't know.
I think that's why we're all here.
I don't know that the McCarthy injury impacts Jefferson's fantasy value all that much.
Right.
Yeah.
I didn't think so.
The way they were going, no matter who they put under center, I don't think it mattered.
I passed on him. I had the chance to pick him. I passed on him. I took Amon-Ra St. Brown instead, which might have been a mistake, but I did. I took Amon-Ra St. Brown instead.
Well, they're making about the same amount of money. They must be equally talented.
Right. Well, I mean, he's the entire offense for the Lions in the air, so they're going to throw it to him. But that could bite me in the ass because Jefferson is obviously way better than Amon-Ra, but
Jefferson's ceiling is higher, but his opportunity is lower.
He's got Darnold throwing to him. Who else? Marvin Harrison Jr. You think he sneaks into the? People are picking him really high. You think he sneaks into the top 2 or 3?
I am always nervous about a guy who's never played a down of professional football.
Yeah,
right. I mean, Tyreek Hill to me is the obvious answer.
He's still,
right, because he's in an offense that has not changed, and I feel like there's a lot of when you're drafting in fantasy ball, you look for the one that doesn't have a lot of variables, and he has. It's exactly.
That's a good point, Mark.
Yep.
Good advice.
By the way, Marvin Harrison Jr. Damn cat. Marvin Harrison Jr. What is going on with this?
This is the weirdest story.
Yeah, right. Have you heard about this, Ryan?
Which part?
About Fanatics suing him and his dad? Yeah.
And
because he wouldn't. He wouldn't sign up for the Fanatics deal or whatever. He refused to do it.
But now they say his dad, Marvin Harrison Sr., attempted murderer, allegedly, like forged his signature. So now there's like forgery charges thrown in. It's so strange.
The contention,
Marvin Harrison.
The contention here is that the deal that was signed for Marvin Harrison Jr. was signed by Marvin Harrison Sr. in like a sleight of hand because they have the same name.
It just says Marvin Harrison.
And so the Harrisons are arguing that makes the contract non-binding, and Fanatics is arguing no, that means you committed fraud.
They're trying to do an Olsen Twins move. Olsen Twins movie. Oops. You adopted the wrong daughter. Yeah, of course there's fucking controversy with him. Fanatics has got a lot of issues though. Like they had the whole Brady thing where he like ruined everyone's fucking memorabilia because he didn't want to sign it.
I don't want to go too far down the legal rabbit hole here, but how is Fanatics not a monopoly? Can somebody explain this to me?
It is because it owns Topps and Panini, right?
They're a real shit organization, I hear too.
It's a merchandise provider for like all four major sports and the NCAA
and wrestling and WWE.
Yes.
Yeah, it owns every like memorabilia thing, or most of them. I don't think it owns Upper Deck, but crazy. Yeah, he seems like a weird guy. He's probably going to be good, but I don't know. Why would you pick him like pick 11 in the in fantasy football? I don't understand that.
It reminds me of, you remember that year that Ryan Matthews came out?
Yes.
1T Ryan Matthews of Fresno State, and everybody was like, because he's a first round draft pick and because he's going into the Chargers high powered offense, he should be a first round fantasy pick, and that dude sucked.
Yeah.
Right. That's what it feels like. But I know Marvin is good. So
like, listen, I love picking rookies. I just said I came away with who's his buckets there for the Chiefs. I've already forgotten his name. And the running back. Yeah, and Jonathan Brooks. Like, I love taking a flyer on a rookie at the right level, but don't invest your first 2-3 picks there. Good Lord.
Yep.
Unless you're that one famous draft and you take Michael Vick in the first round his rookie year and then back him up with the Bucs defense and Syracuse's own Kevin Johnson.
Bucs D.
Best 3 rounds to start a draft in history.
Oh,
and then later on looked real smart by taking Rob Conrad.
Yes.
Oh.
Coincidentally, the last player to wear 44 for Syracuse before they retired it for good. But
wow. Is Christian McCaffrey your top rusher, or is there somebody else? Bijan? Do you think Bijan sneaks in?
Bijan has a chance. I think he's got a real good chance.
I would have Bijan number 1 only because I can't guarantee that McCarthy's going to play 17 games. Or McCaffrey's going to play 17 games. Both because, 1, he has a tendency to get hurt, and 2, because the Niners might have this division locked up by Thanksgiving, and he might not have to play all that much.
Yeah. We talked about earlier, Breece Hall. I think he's going to be up there. I think they're going to run him.
He's going to get the carries.
Yeah. So
2 years ago, I had Breece Hall in my keeper league, and then at the end of the season, I was like, I'm going to keep Breece Hall, but then he blew up his ACL, and they signed Dalvin Cook. So I was like, maybe I should shy away from him, and I let him go. And that was a mistake.
Dalvin Cook back in the news. He said, "Where is he? Dallas?
What's he doing? Managing a Dairy Queen?
No, he's trying to play again.
Oh,
managing a Dairy Queen.
Nope. He left to manage a Dairy Queen.
Is there anybody else who could even get close to the rushing title?
Nah, I mean,
other than Bijan,
Jonathan Taylor, maybe.
I doubt it.
Yeah, I don't really feel. I don't buy that.
I know that he's probably just over the precipice of the hill into the backside of his career, but I never count out Derrick Henry.
I mean, new spot, good O line. I can see that.
If his legs are under him with a good O line,
that'd be a shock at his age, but I would shock is the wrong word. It's not a shock. It just unexpected.
It would also be surprising in a Lamar Jackson offense to have a running back who had the necessary carries. It would require 250 carries at least, and I don't know that he's going to hit that plateau. He could be 22 years old, and I don't know that he hit that plateau.
Right.
That's just not how they're built.
I'm very curious how the Ravens are going to do this year. They might fall off a little bit. I'm not sure. So I'm curious how this goes. But
they really don't have, like, besides they're putting a lot on Zay Flowers. Putting a lot of pressure on Zay Flowers.
Who's on my team?
I think is good, but like that's a lot of. He's gonna have to do a lot.
I think you went into the offseason thinking they would find some help for him, and they just
did not.
They decided Mark Andrews coming back off his injury would be good enough, and we'll see if it is.
And Derrick Henry, I think, was their big
And
help.
Derrick
Like,
Henry,
they're like,
right,
he's
yeah.
going to take all the pressure off, and hopefully make, Lamar play a little smarter. I can't even say that he's the MVP, but I mean, sometimes he did make some kind of questionable throws. So
And they tried to flush all the bad juju out of their running back room by letting literally all of those dudes go.
Right.
They have an entirely new running back.
Everyone's on the Chargers. Their entire
that's right.
their entire backfield's on the Chargers now. How good is Jaden Daniels? Because this guy got picked real early in our draft, and as I was looking up his draft position, he's going in like the second round in some drafts.
Again, it's because people think he has value with his legs.
Yeah,
That's really what it comes down to.
But I mean, there's a big
people
difference.
love this newfangled quarterback system.
Yeah. There's a big difference between regular football and fantasy football. And,
Yes.
and honestly, he
Agreed.
probably will
Agreed.
be a very highly rated fantasy football quarterback. Now, because he plays for Mark's Commanders, he's also going to be a very good regular football player.
Oh, yeah,
I would
I'm
say
sure.
17
Mark's Commanders.
conservative estimate for the Commanders team. But he'll be a very good fantasy quarterback because, like I said, he will pile up the rushing yards.
Well, and that's what Greg A used to say all the time about Tony Romo. I don't give a shit if he rubs Crisco on his hands in January. I only need him until week 17.
That's a good point. Is the MVP of the NFL not a quarterback? Is there any chance? What's the percentage?
Nope.
No, not the way it is now. Not
If
unless.
McCaffrey couldn't win it last year, no.
Yeah, I was gonna say it would take one of these running. It would take. I mean, who would even be in a position? Saquon Barkley, Christian McCaffrey. It would take one of those guys going absolutely bonkers, having not just a 2,000 yards from scrimmage season, but one of those like Roger Craig 1,000 yards running, 1,000-yard receiving seasons.
I'm glad you said that. You made that as a marker, Drew, because I actually believe 2,000 yards is the only way a running back's going to win MVP.
2,000 yards rushing.
Rushing.
And
yes.
I'm saying 2,000 yards from
crappy
scrimmage.
team.
Yeah, I'm saying 2,000 yards from scrimmage wouldn't do it. It would have to be 2,000 yards.
Because McCaffrey
period.
almost did that, or did he do it last year?
He came close, or 2 years ago. He was like 2,200 yards from scrimmage.
He did not get it. So
it's just this is a quarterback league, and Burrow will win it or Mahomes again. I mean,
Or
I thought Mahomes
Lamb.
deserved it last year. So
CeeDee Lamb on his new deal.
CeeDee Lamb, Mike, you're really into that deal.
Hours.
It stinks, and I hate it.
Who's the first coach fired? We don't really have one on our radar right now, but somebody will be.
Mike McCarthy.
Maybe.
If they go like 0-4, yes. But I don't think Dallas will do that. I think they'll be in the mix.
It's a homeboy booth. His body doubles up in Chicago. If they feel like he's sending Williams down the toilet.
Yeah, you know what, Drew? If they go like 0-4 when this team should have been rebounded, I think that's
Williams looks bad.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a real good one.
Yeah, that would happen. But
the Vikings coach, whoever the hell that is.
Kevin O'Connell?
Yeah.
That guy's screwed. Kevin O'Connell, he's gotten a raw deal the last 2 years.
Yeah, he is.
And obviously rumors that your boy McDaniel is on the hot seat pending what happens with the Dolphins. If they fall apart, he might be in trouble.
See, I don't see them falling apart. I just see them hovering at that 8-8 range.
Yeah, I don't see him getting fired in season.
I have a dark horse.
Who's the dark horse?
Sirianni.
No.
We talked about him last time, but
if they come out and are in any way, shape, or form not great, I could see them bouncing him because last season ended in chaos.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
he was my choice, but they're going to be a good team. Yeah,
they were good last year.
They're going to have to underachieve.
It's not going to happen. But you know what the most hilarious first coach fired would be? Would be Jim Harbaugh.
Yeah, that's not happening.
You know what? Nah.
Fuck you. I'm going back to cop. Oh, I can't.
Going
to the UFL.
Yeah, right.
CFL.
This happens every year, though. Someone is going to get fired in the middle of the season. Someone is going to get fired. But we have very few,
What's coach in Cleveland?
Stefanski.
But
I
he
can
won-
see
he-
Sylvester.
Who's the,
Yeah, he
and
won
who's-
Coach of the Year last year, though. So
Doesn't matter.
Did he? Last year?
hmm
Yeah,
Ew.
who's the coach in New Orleans?
Oh God.
Dennis Allen could be
I, was
fired.
thinking- I feel like Dennis Allen, right?
Dennis,
He's-
Dennis Allen's used to getting fired.
Yeah.
He's a little bit weird. He's kind of, yeah, I could see that. I could see Dennis Allen getting fired.
You
He
want
might
to go
be the
8
guy.
and 9? Dennis Allen. You want to go 9-8? Dennis Allen. You want to go one game in either direction? Not happening.
He's the new Jeff Fisher.
Yes.
The new Jeff Fisher. I'm skipping around. Any records of significance get broken this year? Anything? I don't think so. I think we're our talent pool in the NFL is down. I think from years past, but think anybody breaks any records?
Is it insane to suggest that the sack record could go down?
Out of all of them, that's the first one I thought of because it is also the most
TJ
attainable.
Watt. Who's the guy?
It could be
TJ
TJ. It
Watt?
could be Parsons in a contract year.
Yeah, right,
Parsons.
You know, Parsons wants $40 million a year. He'll go get 23 and a half.
right.
Okay.
Because guys have come close to that before. I mean,
Yeah.
real close. I mean,
And
so
I mean, and you know, like TJ Watt had 19 sacks last year in a season in which he didn't play 3 games.
mhm.
Right. That feels right.
And also, boy, if you're talking just about cheap records, like longest field goal feels like it could go down this year. Guys have been kicking it from 60 plus in the preseason.
Yeah.
Wow. Do you know what the record is for most interceptions in a single season
Oh,
is?
it's like 17 or something stupid, isn't
14 by
14.
Night Train Lane
it? Yeah,
in
Wow.
52.
yeah, yeah.
I don't know if this is in the Striped Spiral, but there was a funny stat that popped up about FSU.
Oh, there's many.
Mhm.
Lee Corso has more interceptions than Deion Sanders does
Yes,
in FSU history.
For
Which I
sure.
thought was
I think it's
hilarious.
Is it the same?
It's either
I thought they
tied or he's
shared
up.
record. Yeah.
They're either sharing it or he's like one below.
Sunshine Scooter.
It's so
Sunshine
funny.
Scooter.
Lee,
Not so fast, my friend.
Lee Corso and Deion Sanders on the same plane.
And you know what? I'm willing to bet at this point he has more toes than Deion Sanders does.
Wow,
That's
that's for
right.
sure.
I shouldn't make fun of a man's medical issue. I'm sorry,
That's for
Deion.
sure. All right, one more for you. This is not a fantasy question though. Before we get into our categories, every year we've got one of those guys we just latch on to, man, like a Dayball and his bar, or Hackett and his board games. Who's the guy we're gonna latch on to this year? You think
That's organic, baby. We gotta see what happens.
Yeah, I
you
know, but who are you targeting? There's got to be somebody in your
Oh,
crosshairs, right? Nobody?
Trying to-
Jameis? Are we going to get really into Jameis Winston and the
Famous
speeches?
Jameis.
Aren't we
I
already?
certainly hope
Yeah, we're pretty into Jameis.
I mean, we're kind of halfway in with Spencer Rattler already.
Oh,
Yeah,
there
Right
it
to
is.
play.
If he plays, we're on the Rattler train, baby.
I'm always very close to fully committing to Gardner Minshew. So I mean,
No.
No, Greg's
No.
not. Or no, Drew's not.
Don't. That's a fool's
Drew's
errand.
not into that. Gardner Minshew. We're Minshew
Lamb of-
maniacs.
The land
Just-
of the blind, the one-eyed man is.
Okay.
he's okay.
Well,
Dorsey.
Ken Dorsey.
Ken Dorsey.
Gardner Minshew is Ken Dorsey.
All right, so it's an organic thing. We can't just predict.
Yeah.
who
Can't force it.
we're gonna
No.
can't force it.
Gold Birch.
I would say Spencer Rattler feels right.
Well, I am looking forward to changing up the Dayball bar situation now that he's thin. Like I feel like that could be fun. Like instead of going to bar, he goes
Oh.
to like El Exclusive, and
goes
it's
to
a
the-
really chic bar downtown.
He just
Is
hangs out
he-
at the salad and avocado hut.
Yeah, right.
Is Dayball a first coach fired candidate?
No, maybe.
I don't.
At
He
least
might
I'm not
be.
worried he's gonna have a heart attack anymore.
The Giants, I can't remember the last time the Giants got rid of a coach mid-season.
Yeah.
It's just not a thing they do.
Yeah,
I
even
would not be
Joe
surprised,
Judge. Did
though.
they fire Joe Judge in the middle of the season,
I don't think they
or was it
did.
after?
I think it was
Should have.
Should have.
Should
But I think it was after.
End of this year, wouldn't be surprised if Belichick goes back to the Giants.
Ugh.
Ooh.
Belichick's gonna have.
He
He's
kind
gonna
of
have
always
options.
said he's always said good things about the Giants, the organization, and
Yes.
I'm
In
holding,
New York.
I'm holding
Good for
out that
the
he's going,
NFCs.
I'm holding out that he goes to Boston College, but or better yet, he'll end up at Holy Cross.
Yeah, Holy Cross. Right.
That's
there.
where we really want him to be.
Mm-hmm.
That's where we really want him to be. All right.
Yeah, exactly. He can coach HC lacrosse.
Yeah.
He would love that. He would be so excited to coach lacrosse. Him and his 24-year-old girlfriend back on campus
Could
as a
you tell
graduate
if he
student.
was excited?
No one in this podcast should give Bill Belichick shit for dating a 24-year-old. Because if we were all in his position, we would do the exact same thing.
Oh my God, no.
Yeah,
No.
I'm done. I'm happily married. But if I was a millionaire,
What do they talk about? He talks about the wishbone, and she's like, "Have you seen this
Instagram
coffee
video?
Yeah,
you're 74. Do you really want to sit around talking that much?
he just puts in headphones, and she goes jabbering, and he doesn't care.
Stop.
Let me tell you about Danny Amendola and his thighs.
This is going places it shouldn't go. We're going to end up
going-
back at oiled up Rob Ryan. And
Oh no! Oiled up Bill Belichick, our new character.
It's like he puts like a smear on his hand. There, I'm oiled.
He's the living embodiment of a dead fish in bed.
Soak me in, world.
This is going to end up with the sexual educational video narrated by Bill Belichick.
Yeah. Oh wait.
Oh, wrong guy.
Yeah,
Please no. All right, Stripe Spiral time.
Yes.
Oh boy.
So many things.
I don't sleep on the Yellow Jackets. You were all warned. People
I
were
watched
high
that
on the
whole
Yellow
game.
Jackets, including me.
You
Listen,
said it.
Here was the key.
The-
The Jackets have some talent, and they are well disciplined because their coach is well disciplined.
Mhm.
Like, of all the returning quarterbacks into the ACC, Haynes King led them all in touchdowns and interceptions. So all they had to do was limit the risk that he put the ball into. They've got a decent running game. If they have a disciplined quarterback, they've got that one wide receiver, Sullivan or whatever his name is, that kid is electric. And then they've got that one super good pass rusher in height. And that's all it took. They didn't have to do anything fancy. They just
literally did nothing fancy.
No.
No.
It
All they
was
had to do
very,
control clock.
very
And,
vanilla.
you know, DJU had been at Clemson, transferred out to Oregon State, transfers back to the ACC, and the critique of him was always, well, let's see if he's good enough to play in the ACC now, and maybe he's not.
There's a lot of hype around that guy, and I don't see it.
He didn't do anything terrible, but he didn't do anything great.
Right.
Mm.
You know, and so GT wins. You know, and as I said to Mark and other Greg offline, I was like, if you, for all the acrimony between Florida State and the ACC and their court mandated couples counseling, like you can't. Essentially, this was the equivalent of Florida State being sent overseas to boarding school because they were a bratty little kid. Like you fly all the way to Ireland to get whipped by Georgia Tech on national television and sent packing. Like it's hard to sue the conference that you don't want to pay them $500 million when you can't even represent them well as its foremost franchise overseas.
Look, I think this is going to help Florida State because it relieves the stress of them having to worry about a national championship for
championship.
eight
Yeah,
weeks,
right. You're
only 8 weeks this year. So it's great.
Well, and listen, in a way, you're right. I mean, I understand the humor, but in a way, you're right. Not in the way you mean. If with the 12-team playoff, if they
Correct.
right the ship and run the table from here and win the ACC, they're still going to have a really good shot at a top 4 seed. One loss doesn't doom you anymore.
And honestly, that's why I know a lot of people kind of hemmed and hawed. Like, I actually think I might like the 12-team playoff better. I think it's going to make it more interesting.
I know. And it certainly...
Look, it's like WrestleMania 4. It's going to be great because there's a tournament. There's going to be something weird that happens. It's like March. Look, everyone loves March Madness. Every human being does.
Yep.
Why? Because weird-ass teams get in and do something funky and go on a run. How is that not more fun than, oh, look, here are the 2 SEC teams that are going to be in. Here's
Right.
Notre Dame occasionally. Like, yeah.
And listen, I understand that, like, I'm coming around on this 12-team playoff for all the reasons you mentioned, and because it does, for all the talk about how it's really just a money grab, and maybe to some degree it is, it literally aligns top-level college football with every other sport in every other division of collegiate athletics.
Mhm.
You know, even in football, FCS, D2, D3 have had a 16-team playoff bracket forever. So why wouldn't top level football go to 12? So Florida State's not dead, but they certainly got their asses kicked over in Ireland. Other important stories for the week, games to watch this weekend. Clemson at Georgia, number 14, number 1. I expect Georgia to win by at least 2 touchdowns in that game as the talent disparity of refusing to engage in the transfer portal starts to show.
Solidarity with Army.
You never want to be on a list where the only other 3 teams on the list are service academies.
Look, in fairness, I'll say this. The man is standing on principle, and it may be foolish for his career, but I respect the hell out of the fact that Dabo has listened and like, I'm not doing it.
He has decided this is the hill he wants to die on, and it's going to get him some Jimbo Fisher money in the next 2 years.
Either that, or that he thought to himself, "Shit, this is my way out of Auburn.
This is my way out of Clemson." Yeah.
Clemson, sorry.
Maybe he's hoping that DeBoer gets fired at Bama, and then he goes back to his alma mater and takes the Bama job, and is like, "Yeah, I never had anything against the portal. I don't know what you all are talking about.
I'm good with it now."
Yeah, or he just wants Clemson to see their way into the SEC, which is what they're trying to do alongside Florida State. So games to watch: Clemson and Georgia, and then Thursday night.
Yes.
Thursday night. I was talking to Mark about this game a little bit. You know what? Screw it, because there's no repercussions if I'm wrong. I'm calling the upset. North Dakota State will beat Colorado in Colorado.
That's amazing.
I don't know that it's a foregone conclusion, but I think it's going to happen. North Dakota State is coming off a season in which they went to the FCS championship game and lost. They return a ton of their talent. They're mad as hell. They know that nobody thinks they're going to beat Colorado and all the flash and sparkle. Colorado led the nation in players they grabbed out of the transfer portal with 43.
Wow.
And you would say, how did they have roster spots for 43 players in the transfer portal? It's because they had 51 players leave the school.
Wow. Oh my God.
51.
Right.
They also led the nation in players who left.
And they lost a ton of dudes the year before.
Yes, they're still figuring out what they want to be. And you know, their biggest headline right now is that Dion excluded some reporter from ever asking him questions again.
Yeah.
You know, they're going to battle with, now granted they had a good recruiting class, but those kids are freshmen. If they play at all, they're still true freshmen. So they've got Shedeur and they've got Travis Hunter and they've got question mark on their defense, which is their problem. I think they're going to lose at home to North Dakota State. I think they're going to start the season 0-1.
I can't wait. I can't wait to watch that.
Yeah, I will be glued to my TV on Thursday night.
Wow. College football is back, baby.
It is. Oh, and it happened. It happens to somebody every year. It happened already. New Mexico lost their cupcake game.
I saw that. Yep.
Now, what I didn't realize until later when they put Montana State on the schedule is apparently New Mexico at home was a 2-touchdown dog to Montana State.
Yeah.
So
Montana State's one of those.
Must be real bad. And Montana State's very good by FCS standards.
In the FCS, they're actually one of the better teams.
Yeah.
So
Hawaii did manage to beat Delaware State, who barely made the trip after their bus didn't pick them up on time and they missed their flight to Hawaii. But they eventually did get there and lost.
Oh, darn it. Anything else in the spiral this week?
Not this week. Week 0 was very eventful, but there weren't that many games played.
There weren't a lot.
Although it is worth mentioning, SMU nearly spit the bit against Nevada in their first game as a member of the ACC, and I don't think Nevada's that good. Again, talk about teams that I don't think did anything special. I think SMU sucked for 3.5 quarters in that game.
Yeah.
So for all the talk about their quarterback being good and all these weapons they have and they're moving conferences and they could threaten in the ACC, they looked awful for most of that game.
All right. Is it time for a football FUBAR, our first FUBAR of the year?
It is. So the hallowed gates of football FUBAR have swung open. We made some improvements. We have both hot and cold running water now in the bathrooms. So we bleached Najay's laundry basket and also the love boat. So those exhibits are now open to the public. You guys can check them out if you want to.
All right.
We caught that raccoon that was up in the attic too. So that was a big moment for probably filed that on our Facebook account. But it's time to welcome in the first inductee of 2024. So let's induct a man who not only was a certifiable meathead moron when he played in the NFL during the 90s, but subsequently continued his idiotic legacy, prowling the sidelines as a head coach after he retired. Keep an eye on your NILs, my friends, because today Jim Harbaugh gets inducted into football.
Whoa! Wait a minute.
So,
how dare you slander Mike's Chargers?
Mike's Chargers.
So old Jimbo gained notoriety, playing QB for the Michigan Wolverines from 1982 through 1986. But between injuries, poor play, and just better options that were available at the time, he only really solidified his grip his senior year. And to his credit, he had a very good year, finished third in the Heisman voting behind Vinny. And a guy named Paul Palmer, who sounds like a Madden-generated name. I've never heard of this guy.
He plays for Tiburon University.
Right, exactly, yeah. The iguana is their logo.
I used to work with a guy named Paul Palmer. I don't think it was him.
Paul Palmer, yep. He finished
He now is the number 3 salesman for Lexus in the Key Biscayne area.
I don't know who he is. I'm just going to assume he played for Nebraska. So...
Fair enough.
Right, for the era. He did finish above the Boz, though. So fellow football FUBAR inductee. He did beat out the Boz that year. Harbaugh was drafted 26 overall by the Bears, where he floundered on the bench for a couple years before Jim McMahon finally left in 1989, leaving him in a competition against Steelers legend Mike Tomczak for the starting role. And if you were a Bears fan at the time and you didn't think that your dynasty had ended, that was the signal that your dynasty was over. So... he didn't really do too much in Chicago. He eventually did salvage somewhat of a career. In 1995, went to the Colts, where he did make his first and only Pro Bowl. And boy, did it go to his head, because Harbaugh began to big time. This is from an offensive lineman who played with him, fellow Colts player during the 96 season, causing his own O-lineman to resent him and, quote, not try as hard to keep him standing, as one O-lineman shared, which is Ryan Leaf levels of bad right there. Harbaugh's jerk-ass behavior didn't stop there, as during the 1997 season, he thought it was a good idea to hunt down Jim Kelly and punch him in the jaw after Jim Kelly called him a baby. The important thing to note here is Jim Kelly was retired. He wasn't even an active player.
We all know what Jim Kelly and Frank Reich have done.
He knew. He punched a future cancer survivor. That's all I'm saying. So,
he punched an announcer. That's what he
punched
did.
An announcer. So he broke his hand. Legitimately broke his hand when he did it. They were 0-4 when he did it. And then he was out for X amount of weeks because obviously he's recovering from his broken hand. The Colts went 3-13, even when I'm coming back. The first day of free agency that they were able to, they cut him and freed them up to draft some dude named Manning that year. So I guess that worked out. Harbaugh bounced around the NFL for a few more uneventful years before finally ending his career where all things go to die, the Carolina Panthers. And after
What the hell? What kind of shot is that?
Character assassination.
Damn! All things go to die?
You know, Frank Reich also played for the Panthers.
He also died there twice. He died there twice. Oh, man.
Sorry, Ryan. After hanging up his very mediocre NFL boots, Jim decided to get into the coaching career, college coaching, and eventually found his way to becoming the head coach at Stanford from 2007 through 2010. He was successful there, despite his own players hating him, most notably Richard Sherman, who had a lot to say about how much he hates Jim Harbaugh, which was pretty fun. Managed to parlay this success into a head coaching gig with the San Francisco 49ers from 2011 through 2014. He was successful on the field there as well, bringing the Niners a pair of NFC Championship games and a Super Bowl appearance in 2012. Do you have anything to say, Mike? But you want to chime in on you were positive on Harbaugh, right?
This slander will not stand, man. Look, you have to understand something as a Niners fan. That 3-year window was fantastic because prior to that, we had the likes of Mike Nolan, Mike Singletary, Dennis Erickson. We ended up with Jim Tomsula and Chip Kelly at one point.
Oh God, yeah.
Tomsula.
Like I said, on the field, from everything I get, I mean, he put up good numbers. He put up good win-loss record.
He got a lot out of what was there. Those Niners teams were not that talented.
Yeah.
There was some talent there, but not. Look at today's Niners. There's a lot more pieces on the chessboard, Harbaugh was working with, what was left in the kitchen cabinets.
And like I said, he got the 2 NFC Championship games in a Super Bowl. I mean, it's hard to argue that. However, the 2014 season did see the Niners finish 8-8. And issues started coming up again about his own players, kind of thinking he was a dick. They eventually mutually parted ways, but everyone can pretty much now agree that Harbaugh talked his way out of San Francisco because he wanted the Michigan job. This was interesting. So the Niners most definitely got tired of his bullying act, at least the executives did, because a story came out in recent years that he verbally dressed down Niners owner Jed York in private, and would basically told him at one point, he came in after a game, and I can't remember if the Niners won or lost, and he turned to Jed York and said, "Adults are talking in the room, you need to leave." And players back that up to say that to the owner of the team. So, a little rough.
I mean, moderately accurate.
So he did bring his authoritative style to Michigan, where he once again was successful on the field. His players, once again, in interviews, they definitely don't like his belittling. They don't like his micromanaging, but he did perform well. So you got to take it as you get it. Last year, as we discussed on this podcast, Michigan passed down a self-imposed suspension on Harbaugh for 3 games in an effort to curtail the rumors of recruiting violations at Michigan, hoping this punishment would stave off any NCAA punishment and negative, public sentiment. Anyway, we'll get to that. Harbaugh kind of sort of stayed away during the suspension, came back, led them to an undefeated national championship season before quickly abandoning the team in the offseason and became the LA Chargers' new coach. So why was that change of heart? Do you think it was more money? Do you think it was a chance to finish what he started in San Francisco? Or maybe because it was a recruiting corruption scandal that had yet to fully break at the time, Harbaugh knew he was going to get caught, so he preemptively jumped to the NFL to escape severe punishment.
And the whole Connor Stalions thing. Don't let that sit idle.
That's right. Yep. More of that came out this week, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. He totally Pete Carrolled his team. But at least now those players can go someplace. I'll give him that. Just the fact that he got hit with recruiting violations in an era of NIL is very interesting to me.
It's hard to do that.
What was he doing?
Yeah, right.
Right. Rather than face the music, he bailed on, Michigan, went back to the NFL. But if he ever does try to go back to college football, he can't for 4 years because that's how long NCAA suspended him for.
Wow.
So anyway, now he's back with the Chargers, taking away their video games, taking away their snack machines, putting their high school star ratings next to their name, because that's how to motivate a bunch of 30-year-olds who haven't been in high school in 15 years.
And who, by the way, make more money than you.
Yeah, right. So we'll see how long his shtick lasts this year, or this time, because he really hasn't. He's like, officer and gentleman. I got nowhere else to go other than Caw Nation. So
maybe he's a reformed man.
Then maybe he is. We'll see. So Jim Harbaugh, welcome to Football Fubar.
He is so full of shit every time he opens his mouth.
Yes.
Like since the Connor Stalions thing started coming out, all of a sudden he's like, I put my faith in God. I'm like, you couldn't even spell God a month ago, Jim.
Now he's a God guy. Yeah.
He's so full of shit every time his mouth opens. Like, what's it like to be John Harbaugh? Like, you just look across the Thanksgiving table and you're like, come on, man. Just stop.
Did you hear what he said about when the players got stuck in the elevator and how God saved them? It was real weird.
He's out of his mind.
Yeah.
I have 2 things to say about him. One is he left the Colts and Manning came in, but then he relieved Ryan Leaf later on the Chargers, which cracks me up. He was involved in both sides of the equation. And then the other thing, now I can't remember it. It went out of my head. But the Leaf thing always made me laugh because I remember a game where he came in relief of Ryan Leaf. He's on both sides of it.
I think he was with the Ravens for a year or two. Like after he left the Colts, he did hang around for a while.
My God. Okay. Let's look at the schedule because the next time we do this, we'll have actually seen games. We'll have actually seen games. So what's the game you're most looking forward to?
I just remember this. I forgot to interrupt. Apropos of what we were talking about before the podcast, Paul, what's his face? Paul Palmer?
Oh, yeah.
Temple.
Okay. Yep.
Temple.
Running back at Temple.
Running back at Temple. There we go.
Uh-huh.
Well, there you go. Is there any game that strikes you on the in the week one schedule?
I'm dying to see Pucci against the Niners. Like that is by far my favorite game in week one.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, Ravens Chiefs is going to be a good one.
Yeah, that'll be good.
Yeah.
What about your personal matchups? Buffalo hosts Arizona.
No, I mean, it's tough to say. I can't get a read on this Bills team. I don't think they're going to be very good. So we'll see.
All right. The Raiders are at the John Harbaughs. The Jim Harbaugh.
At Mike's Chargers.
Get it right.
I am excited for this game both because I want to see how Brock Bowers looks.
Yeah.
I don't, rookie tight ends rarely break the game open, but I'm just curious to see how he looks and how they use him. And two, Raiders Chargers now always brings me such glee because of that fateful game at the end of the season like 3 years ago where they were trying to both go to the playoffs and the Chargers brushed them off.
No.
I remember
Staley.
I remember the Harbaugh thing, though. The other Harbaugh thing I want to bring up. Have you seen the clip of him interviewing Jameis Winston about his crab legs and if he's addicted to sex?
No.
You gotta find it. He's like, so you got on the table and you yelled this stuff. You can't even say this stuff. You got a problem? You addicted to sex? You got a problem, Jameis? He's like, no, sir, I don't. It's like, I think you got a problem.
You sure about that?
You need to talk to somebody?
You got a problem with wieners? What's going on?
It's so funny. I don't know why they're together.
If you are, you know who you're going to confess to? Some like 55-year-old white guy you've never met before. Yeah. That's the guy you're going to tell.
You're going to tell me. God-fearing Jim Harbaugh. Anyway.
Cowboys. Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say Packers-Eagles.
I think that's the one. Yeah, I think that's the Friday night game.
Friday night game.
I do enjoy Cowboys-Browns as two of the most hated teams in the NFL playing each other.
The Sunday games are pretty rough. Like the day games are all pretty rough.
Yeah. There's a lot of who gives a shit games on Sunday.
Do they always have? There's interdivisional game or interconference games. There seems to be more of those than I'm used to seeing. But
they try to do some of those at the beginning and the end of the year.
Okay.
What will be a less watchable game? Vikings Giants or Titans Bears?
I think Titans Bears is much more watchable
because of Caleb Williams,
but also Will Levis is a bath salts player. Yeah, so you never know what he's going to do.
Because of Caleb Williams and the possibility that his dad will come running out of the stands and attack Eberflus with a knife.
That Vikings Giants game, of course, some of us live in upstate New York. We're going to get that game. That's what we're going to get.
Listen, even where I live, I'm pretty sure I'm getting that game.
Oh, God. Well, I guess we have to play one song at least. If he comes out of the stands.
It's gonna be so sad.
Wrestling run out. He's just going to come running, screaming down the tunnel, folding
clothesline,
banging it on stuff.
Clotheslines Eberflus's body double, and then oh god, the real Eberflus gets him with a steel chair.
Body double.
Yep, twin magic.
With Eberflus. The wrong guy.
Twin match.
We're gonna have to get some more music.
Yeah, we need to get Chris on the back end when we get some more bits going. We'll get him back in. All right, time for plugs. Bloody good music. What do we got this week?
By the time you read this, by the time you listen to this podcast or watch it, however you choose to view us, and you know what, you should watch it and listen to it.
Yeah. Do both.
At the same time,
you need the views. Yeah, from as many sources as you can. By the time you're viewing this and you've gotten to this part of the show, my review of the new Within the Ruins album will be up on Bloody Good Music. Good news, bad news. They are still as novel and unique and talented and good a band as they ever were. Bad news, this album sounds exactly like their last album. To the point where if you took the 21 combined songs and threw them in a big pool and drew them out of a hat, I don't know if I could tell you which song belongs on which record.
That's sad. I hate when that happens. I like continuity in albums. Like I want them to sound similar, sound the same, but not exactly.
And listen, I get it. If you're a metalcore band and you want to stay a metalcore band within the tenets of that, the range in which you can go is limited. But they chose to do the same thing again.
Coming up on the TGIF podcast, we did the car crash episode. We talked about that last time. You can get that, but we will be recording the latest episode, which is characters who disappeared. Because famously, there were some brothers and sisters who left us in the TGIF era. Specifically,
And some
Judy.
teachers. Judy from Family Matters left.
Yep.
Judy from Family Matters walked upstairs
Cody.
and left.
They say
Cody
one of the kids from
disappeared
Full House, or not Full House, Step by
from
Step.
Step by Step,
disappeared.
but then he came back.
Right.
Cody got drafted and sent to Desert Storm.
Where did McConkey go? McConkey got sent away to a prison camp.
McConkey. There's the player to watch this season. There's our gimmick, McConkey.
Yeah, right. Keep going.
But
with
I don't think the player's gonna. Maybe we need a McConkey update every week. 3 catches for 23 yards. McConkey. That's all it's gonna be.
You say that like it's a bad thing.
We can do that. We can do the McConkey update
So
every
wait,
week.
McConkey is Larry Centers?
Aw.
I love Larry Centers. Yeah, so we're doing the characters who disappeared. We're recording that this week, so it'll be out before the next pod long. So
Yep.
get that. That'll be fun. And Sean joins a cult in the one episode. So
Yes.
there's that.
Very excited to talk about that
which
one.
is going to be great because Sean and Boy Meets World, he seems to get himself involved in these
He's
things.
very malleable. He's just
One sip of alcohol.
Are you talking about the cult episode?
Yes. He joins a cult.
I know.
Such a good one.
He joins a cult.
Yeah.
Only
Feeding
brought
those
back to
big
life
shit.
Yeah.
by his missing teacher. Yeah, Boy Meets World has two of the missing characters, right?
Yes, it does. Right, because there's Minkus is the other one.
Minkus also disappears at one point.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
So,
All right.
here we go.
That's it. We did it. We'll be
Hey,
back.
what about me?
Well, you don't have any plugs.
Maybe I do. You didn't
All right.
ask.
You haven't had a
Rude as
plug
hell.
for 2 years. All right, give me a
Well,
plug.
maybe I have one now.
All right.
School
Sorry.
is starting again this week. We shall soon see whether or not my students are up to par.
Yes.
Wow.
That is always fun. I do like to check in on your students.
Yeah. Can we get a check-in?
We'll do some check-ins.
Are they going to be Tzatziki dip of the week at some point?
This fucking kid right
This
here.
guy. Dip of the week.
Tip of the week, Tommy Jones.
Yeah.
How do you do that essay? What's that stain in the corner? Is that mustard? I hope it's mustard.
Week
Jesus.
1, Jerry Jones. Week 2, Tommy Jones, student. We're going after everybody.
5 straight weeks of Tommy Jones.
What's this horseshit
Guys.
about Napoleon freeing the slaves from Frederick Douglass?
Yeah.
Look at this paper. Oh my god. All right, we'll be back
Larry
after.
First. See what happens, Larry. You see what happens when you find a stranger in the Alps?
Find a stranger in the Alps. Oh, that's my favorite. All right, we'll be back after week 1. Good luck if you're playing fantasy. Peace out, everybody.
Bye.